Gaura Hari Boli Jai.
Yeah. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Astatarasata Sisimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Astatarasata Sisimad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavarinda Ki. His Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki. Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki. Ganga Mai Ki. Jamuna Mai Ki. Tulsi Devi Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Harinam Sankirtan Ki. Brihat Pradanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki. Shri Radha Shama Sundara Ki. Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Here, take.
Oh, yes. Oh, you're not playing harmonium?
I don't know how to play harmonium. I don't know how to play harmonium.
Okay, go ahead.
Namaste Narasingaya. Da 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 ine. Hiranyakashi Rakshaha Shilatangkanakalaya Pito Narsingha Parato Narsingha Yato yami tato narsingha Dahe narsingha Hridaye narsingha Narasingha Madhim Sharanam Prapade Tara Kamala Varenakam Adhuda Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipa Tanu Vringa Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Narsimhadev, Jaya Narsimhadev, Jaya Narsimhadev, Jaya Narsimhadev. Jaya Praladhara, Jaya Praladhara, Jaya Praladhara, Jaya Pralad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gora Haribol, 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 Nitai Gora Haribol. Krishna Bhagwan ki, Prahlad Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaura Premanande.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. On behalf of ISKCON founder Acharya, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, I would like to welcome all of you to ISKCON Naperville. It will be very nice if the ladies can move this way and the men can go on that side. That will be great. May I ask you if there is anyone here for the first time? Anybody here for the first time? A show of hands. Please come. We have a small gift for you. Please come forward. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you all. Today we are very fortunate to have the association of His Holiness Romapada Swami Maharaj. Maharaj has been, oh, thank you. Thank you for coming. Appreciate that. His Holiness Romapada Swami Maharaj has been here for the past few days, and he was speaking on the topics related with Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes. And during this whole weekend, there were many classes about our ISKCON founder Acharya, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. And in continuation of that, Maharaj today will be speaking on the topic of Japa instructions by His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master. Please give a big welcome to Romapada Swami Maharaj. Thank you.
We're going to sing the song that you see on the screen. Many of you know the song, but some of you may not. It's very simple. Names of Krishna in Vrindavan. So let's go to Vrindavan through sound. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamuna Tiravana Yadi Avanacha Jamuna Tiravana Yadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tiravana Jadi Jamuna Tiravana Jadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Adi Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Astatarasi Srimad His Divine Grace Sri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Gaur Premanandi. During part of the time we spent together, we were discussing some nice writings by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And for those of you that are newer, who is he? This is our founder Acharya's Murti, seated in the back. And he, Srila Prabhupada, who we spent most of the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, discussing the mission and his message and how to preserve both his mission and message going forward in time. Because to a strong extent, we're doing that now, and over the next several generations, how to preserve it today so that it's intact tomorrow. That was our topic. And one of the sessions was led by Gopal Bhatta, who was visiting from Los Angeles, and he discussed what you see on the screen. And I thought, fantastic topic, in part because it connects with what you're going to be doing next weekend. This is a little flyer for what's next weekend. This is an advertisement, by the way. Not only what's in my hand, but what I'm about to say. Next weekend is New Year's holiday, and New Year's holiday, most people aren't working. I guess some people are working. The airlines people are probably working, but most people aren't working. And there's going to be a festival here. It's identified as both a kirtan and japa. So we all know what kirtan is. This is japa. This is our chanting on beads, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So there'll be some time dedicated to both. So the dates, according to this little nice flyer, it starts Wednesday, 31st, and then Thursday, the 1st, 24-hour festival. I'm sure there'll be lots of prasadam and lots of chanting of the holy name, as everyone here knows. Even new people, by now you certainly know. The Hare Krishna movement is about chanting Hare Krishna. And the teachings that come from Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, and the teachings about Krishna that are found in Srimad Bhagavatam, and that which awakens the dormant Krishna consciousness, especially effective in this age, the age of Kali, age of quarrel, is the holy name. So Prabhupada's spiritual master wrote many, many books, translations of ancient texts, plus writings explaining them and expounding on them. And one of the books that's published by him or by his publisher is a collection of letters, because there wasn't this kind of a system, recordings and YouTube, and so much of what was done was in written form, and then in personal instructions, it was also purposefully copied and distributed. So one of the ways was his letters. He kept a copy, and later they were published in the form of a book. Called Patravali. So I'm going to be reading from one letter focused on the chanting of the holy name from this book, Patravali. Patra, letters. Vali, a string. And you'll see different images. It's the words are on the screen. If the letters are too small, just listen, and this is what's on the screen. I am overjoyed to hear that your enthusiasm for chanting is increasing. As our contaminations are removed by chanting, the Lord's form, qualities, pastimes will be revealed to us in the holy name. So I'm going to unpack that a little bit. In our line of disciplic succession, there was one superlative predecessor acharya named Rupa Goswami. And one of Rupa Goswami's writings, one of his special writings that we study for our Bhakti Shastri, etc., is a book in which he's describing principles of how to make spiritual advancements and obstacles that impede spiritual advancement. So it's teachings on bhakti. Upadesh Amrita. Upadesh, instructions. The nectar of instruction. That's how Prabhupada translated in English. And one of those verses, it takes 3 items. Utsahan, enthusiasm. Nishchayat daryat, patience and determination. Utsaha nishchayat daryat. So he isn't referring to the verse, but it's in the letter. He's speaking of enthusiasm. Very nice to hear. I'm very delighted and overjoyed to hear that your utsahan for chanting of the holy name has increased. And then next, and without the reference scripturally, but that process of engaging and hearing and chanting and hearing and chanting, hearing and chanting, it leads to removal of unwanted things, subtle unwanted things that drive the outside unwanted things, behaviors and speech that are degrading or sinful or at least inappropriate. So those are, the nice Sanskrit word is anartha. There's different words. Unwanted. Artha, as in dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Artha. Now most people, when they hear artha in that sequence, it's economic prosperity. But more explicitly, artha means something wanted. And you put the prefix a in front of it and it becomes the opposite, unwanted. So unwanted things in the heart become cleansed. It's a cleansing agent. Chant enthusiastically, and something happens on the subtle plane. Desires in the heart become diminished. And then that keep going and keep going and keep going. And Krishna's, the non-difference between Krishna and his name, one's own spiritual identity becomes awakened, and Krishna's spiritual identity becomes further awakened. Because through the medium of the name, and specifically, I'll read the language. This is an English translation. I don't know if he wrote the letter in Bengali or English, but the English translation reads, the form of the Lord will be revealed, the qualities of the Lord and the pastimes will be revealed to us in the holy name. Not through the medium, not through that doorway, but in the name itself. It's important. It's a nice understanding, but this introductory little sentence is the resting part of the rest of what he writes. So it's important to get the first sentence correct, or like the fullness of it as much as we can. There's a teaching that says the holy name is non-different than Krishna himself. We discussed this a little bit during the 4th of July holiday, the non-difference between Krishna and his holy name. It's the vachaka is the sound vibration feature of Krishna. There's vacha and vachaka, the sound and the object of the sound. So the form of Krishna is his name, and his name is his form, and with his form, his qualities and his pastimes. So most of us, when we're singing or chanting, or what hopefully many of you will be doing that over the New Year's holiday, those that come and participate with the kirtan and the japa, you'll be directly associating with the name, both in kirtan form and in japa form. And that is an important understanding that the name that we will be chanting is none different than the person. Now that's a concept, but it's a concept that's a spiritual concept, and therefore the mind can't comprehend it. And let's see if he says that here, but he certainly says it elsewhere. It's not possible for this little binary processor called the mind, because it's a 1 or a 0. And it doesn't, it's neither 1 nor 0. So it doesn't fit. The mind can't get around the idea that the sound is the person. But through purification, through unwanted things being removed, he's indicating that's the outcome. When you become, and any one of us have become, a little successful in the cleansing process, the removal of unwanted things process, then the spiritual reality becomes revealed. And that spiritual reality is who we are and who the name is. And the name is a person with form and qualities and activities. In other words, advanced persons like Bhaktisiddhanta can experience Krishna's pastimes within the name. Wow. That's pretty amazing. I'll say it one more time. So it's not like it's not like silent meditation. There is a process of silent meditation. Some people that do meditation, that's what they do, and bring the mind to a place of quiet. If that's to whatever extent that can be done. In Bhagavad Gita, it's described: you go to a sacred place, etc., in a solitary, and control the mind and control the senses, and the mind fixed on in Tapaloka. This is what the residents of Tapaloka do. They experience the form of the Lord within their heart by meditation. It's very elevated, and it's not only possible; it's what goes on. They are actually able to envision the form of the Lord within their heart because he's there. But when the mind is agitated and disturbed, it's not experienced. But one can experience. Now here, it's not just his form, but then his qualities and his activities on the spiritual plane in the name. In other words, to say it this way, the process of chanting is superior to the process of silent meditation. And that's one of the teachings that's found in a very wonderful commentary, Brihat Bhagavatamrita, where that's exactly what's described in precept and then in practical demonstration within the narration found in Brihat Bhagavatamrita. But this isn't Brihat Bhagavatamrita, this is Prabhupada's spiritual teacher, his guru, giving in a letter an explanation of how to. I'm overjoyed to hear from you how your enthusiasm for chanting has increased. And by that enthusiasm in chanting, unwanted things within the heart become dissolved, washed away. And when that's washed away, then at a very mature stage, Krishna becomes revealed to that person in his form, qualities, and pastimes within the name. It's nice. Now, we're not there yet, but at least he's giving a description of what's the path and what's at the end of the path. What's the goal? Here's the next slide. Let's see. Technology, cooperate, please. There we go. There is no point in making a separate effort to artificially remember the Lord's form, qualities, and pastimes. The Lord and his name are one and the same. This will be understood clearly when the coverings in your heart are removed. So be patient. So that's utsaha. Be patient. This could be while being enthusiastic. Be patient. And one of the things that helps sustains patience is the confidence it's going to take you to a better place, to the place of spiritual reality directly experienced by yourself, with your spiritual senses, with your spiritualized mind, with your spiritual intelligence, with your whole spiritual being. That's the outcome. By chanting without offenses, you will personally realize that all perfections come from the holy name. Now, this is a letter. He's not writing a book. He's written books on this topic, but this is just, dear Prabhu, dear disciple. And there's mention in this particular sentence the importance of chanting without offense. And the offense doesn't sound nice. So what are those offenses? A primary one of the 10 offenses is inattention while chanting. So say it on the positive side. One of the ways to overcome that offense is attention. They'll go the other way. There's the do and the do not. The vidhi and nishedhas, the things to do, things not to do. Don't be inattentive. So when you're not inattentive, and the other 9 offenses out of the 10 offenses, they're listed and identified. So he's not giving them here, but the hearer is aware. So when you're able to go beyond offenses in chanting, you'll realize all perfections, plural, come from the holy name. Through chanting, the distinction that exists between the self and the gross and subtle bodies is gradually effaced. Nice word, English word. Effaced means like erased or going, gone. Effaced. It's like if there's some script chiseled into stone, and somebody wants to destroy that image of the image or the letters or the something, so they smudge it out. They take another chisel and they efface that stone slab, so you can't see what was there be anymore. Effaced. So the distinction that exists between the self and the gross and subtle bodies is gradually effaced, and one realizes one's own spiritual form. Now he's going a little bit slower before realizing Krishna's form. One one will realize one's spiritual form. Now what's that? What's a spiritual form? According to Bhagavad Gita, very simple. There's the soul, there's the coverings of the soul. The coverings of the soul are in 2 categories, gross and subtle. So the gross one, here we all have one, material body. And it's a covering. And then there's the subtle covering, mind, intelligence, false ego. We don't see them, but we see the influence of them. They're there. And it's not who we are, but it's the covering of who we are. And gradually, those material, gross, and subtle coverings become surcharged spiritually or spiritualized. And then the spiritualized covering, with the spiritualized covering, one may then realize our spiritual form. And the spiritual form has form. That the spiritual form has form. Prabhupada gives this example. Just like I'm wearing a sweater. And the sweater has 2 arms and a torso. Because what's underneath the sweater is 2 arms and a torso. So the sweater takes the shape of the body. And then below the sweater, there's a shirt. And the shirt also has 2 arms and a torso. So as the coverings of the body have form, It's because beneath the coverings, there's a form. Let's just use a simple example. Similarly, there's spiritual form. And their spiritual form is all spiritual. It may not look like this one, the gross physical one, but there's form. And what is that form? Well, you have to become purified to experience it, and then there's spiritual form, and that is what one identifies with. Even while I'm walking around with a gross and subtle body, and I use them, the gross body and the subtle body, according to my capacity. I can sing, I can dance, I can walk, I can talk, I can do stuff with the gross and subtle body. But there's a driving force within it, that's the spiritual form. And I don't recognize it because I'm too much absorbed in identifying with the covering. But there's a stage identified in this little letter that corresponds with what the teachings of the Vedic texts tell us. Once one is aware of the spiritual body, as one continues to chant, one sees the transcendental nature of the Lord's form. You know, when you're on the train and you see some scenery passing by, oh, I recognize that place. We're getting closer to our destination, and then the closer destination is the Lord's form. Only the holy name reveals the spiritual form of the living being and then causes him to be attracted to the Lord's form. And the Lord's form is revealed to one who is attracted to the Lord's form. You know, that's like deity worship. This is a very simple example, like the chanting. The deity is a form. And it's not only a form, but it's Krishna. And one of the procedures to install a deity is through mantra and procedures, mantra and tantra. The deity, the Supreme Lord, is invited to come and receive the worship of the worshippers. So the worshippers are dressing the deity and bathing the deity and offering items to the deity, etc., in a regulated way so many times a day, etc., with cleanliness, etc. And those are all on, one description is they're on an external plane. But on an internal plane, on a platform of spiritual reality, the personality of Godhead, who is not different than his installed deity form, is accepting the offering. He's accepting the expressions of heart, and then the mind and the body being extended to, and deity worship is very similar to chanting. In fact, the way to get proper understanding of deity worship begins through sound, through chanting and Vedic teachings. Then we can have a more precise, rather than a misunderstanding, a relatively incorrect understanding of what deity is. And for that matter, what Scripture is. And for that matter, what Vaishnavas are. And for that matter, what the Holy Dham is. So people may revere the Holy Dham, or sacred rivers, etc. Well, without really understanding, that's okay. There's purification because they're going to the Holy Dham and taking bath in the Jamuna or the Ganges River. But the realization, the direct spiritual experiences, that's what we want. And that's what's being instructed here in this nice letter. Coming to the stage of being attracted to the Lord's form. Only the holy name reveals the spiritual qualities of the living being and then causes him to be attracted to the Lord's qualities. First is form, then qualities. The holy name reveals the spiritual activities of the living entity and then causes him to be attracted to Krishna's pastimes. By service to the holy name, we do not mean only the chanting of the holy name. It also includes other duties of the chanter. If we serve the holy name with body, mind, and soul, then the direction of that service spontaneously manifests like the sun in the clear sky of the chanter's heart, which is it's poetry. It's a metaphor. The sun rising in the clear sky of the chanter's heart. But it's poetry. It's metaphorical. As the sun rises in this clear sky in one morning, so similarly, this experience is a gradual, like the rising of the sun in the morning is gradual. We've all had the experience. And in urban life, it's less palpable. One of my personal experiences of this is in Mayapur, because it's wide open. Now it's developed to some extent, but wide open. And there's, the stages of the rising of the sun. There's where it's completely dark at night. And then there's a certain point that completely dark sky, that's just clear sky on the horizon, starts to have a little light in the firmament of that dark sky. And then gradually, the light of the sun that's not yet appeared is gradually, the light of the sun is becoming more palpable and, experiential. And then at a certain point, the sun makes its little appearance on the horizon, and it's orange colored commonly, and big, really big, because of how light gets refracted. And then as the sun continues to rise, the apparent size of the sun gets a little smaller, and then finally, boop, the whole sun is standing on the horizon. So, how one determines when the sun rises, when you first see that little direct light of the sun, but it's still the kind of an orangey color, and then it gets more light color, and then it gets like a bright yellow, effulgent color. And it's the gradual rising. So the metaphor is to the gradual rising of the sun. As with the gradual rising of the sun, these items mentioned are gradually experienced, like who we really are, spiritual form, and the form of the Lord. And then in sequence, the qualities of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord, the fullness of what's in the holy name. There's a nice verse. I'll say the verse slowly. And there's a book written about the verse with the title of the Harinam Chintamani. Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinatvam Nama Namino. In case you're not a Sanskrit scholar. Abhina means non-different. Tvam, having the quality of non-difference. Abhinatvam, Nama, Nami, the name and the object named. So, and the Harinam acts like a touchstone. Nama, Chintamani, touchstone. The touchstone, by definition, touchstone has the quality of something that's base in contact with the touchstone, transforms the touchstone into something that's very valuable. In many cases, it's base metal becomes gold. How'd you like to have one of those things? A touchstone that takes base metal, like your iron pot, your pots in the kitchen, and you touch the touchstone, and become golden pots. Wow. So like a touchstone does such things, the holy name does such things. That is, consciousness can become spiritualized fully. And then that spiritualized consciousness, one experiences differently than when consciousness was dull or iron-like. It just works that way. I mean, it's mystical in one sense, but it's quite standard on the other sense. Standard mysticism. Namachintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. Its form, Vigraha, is rasa. The name. The form is rasa. So that's a whole topic. What's rasa? What is it? Rasa, it's a simple definition, is taste. Like, using the example of juice. We could, do a little survey and say, ask you, rather than survey, if you were given the opportunity to have any kind of juice that you want, of any season, now, ripened, fill in the blank, what kind of fruit? What would your choice be? Mango. But without going through the whole explanation, if you gave you 10 gallons of mango juice every day for 30 days, you'd say, how about a little apple juice or pineapple juice or grape juice or something other than just 10 gallons of my favorite. In other words, we like variety. And rasa has variety. Taste, juice, has variety by its nature. And we engaged in exchanges of rasa with the holy name. There's variety. There already is. It's whether, we like it, but like it or don't like it, there's variety. Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. The name is the form, the Vigraha of rasa. And it's Chintamani. It's fully conscious. The name is not dull matter, but it's Chintamani. It's alive. Because the Krishna's form is alive, etc., etc. So, it's a doorway. Like most of us came into the temple room through that door right over there. Now, maybe somebody came through the window or, there's no chimney here, Santa Claus coming through the chimney or something. But most of us came through the doorway. So as there's a doorway to get into the temple room, so also there's a doorway or an entryway into being with Krishna. And that being with Krishna doorway is his name. And then once you're in with Krishna, there's diversity. There's rasa vigraha. There's varieties of rasa. Purna Shuddho. Completely pure. Not kind of, but complete. Purna Shuddho. Nitya Mukto. Always in the liberated position. Abhinatvam Nama Namino. Non-different than the name and the object named are non-different. So it's nice. It's high. But the doorway is simple. The process of chanting, which Bhaktisiddhanta is appreciating his disciple. Oh, I'm overjoyed to hear how you're enthusiastic. Here's where that train is going. What is the nature of the holy name? Eventually all these understandings spontaneously appear in the heart of one who chants the holy name. The true nature of Harinam is revealed by listening to, reading, and studying the scriptures. It's a nice teaching. In other places he says it this way, but it's the same teaching. That is, when we hear Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Harir Nama Eva Kevalam, the chanting of the holy name is 3 times, means in Sanskrit, absolute. Not 3 times means that's it. Absolute. But Implicit is the Harikatha, because we, as we don't worship Krishna alone, we worship Krishna with Radha. We don't worship Narayan alone, we worship Narayan with Lakshmi. We don't worship Ram alone, but with Sita. So the potency is there with the potent. Shakti, Shaktiman. They're together. We don't have the sun without the sunshine. We don't have Krishna without Radha. We don't have the name without the topics in relation to Hari Katha, or Bhagavat Katha. So we engaged in Bhagavat Katha along with chanting the name of Bhagavan. So Hare Nama implies, and here it's explicit, not just implicit, it's explicit. Listening to, reading, and studying the scriptures. It is unnecessary to write anything further on this subject. All these things will be revealed to you through chanting. So, to conclude, this is going to be an abrupt ending, so get ready for an abrupt ending. Come around during New Year's Eve and, see how close you get to the realization of what he's speaking. And even if you don't get there, you'll be closer than before this festival, both japa and kirtan. And it's nice to speak about it. It's even more nice to participate in it. And those persons who are gifted with spiritual intelligence, who are those persons that are gifted with spiritual intelligence? When Krishna chooses to give them spiritual intelligence, of us or someone, spiritual intelligence, is because they've engaged in sincere service. Dadami bodhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. You know the verse from Bhagavad Gita? Dadami bodhi yogam tam. Bodhi, intelligence. The intelligence of how to make that connection with Krishna so that you can experience. So, during the course of between now and Wednesday, there's only a few days in between, prepare yourselves, reading Bhagavad Gita, doing your chanting, and come for some part, if as much of it as if you can, 24 hours worth of immersion in both kirtan and japa, and see if what Bhaktisiddhanta is describing, you become a little bit closer, at least the effacing of the contaminations of heart, if that's something that you experience. I'm going to tell a little story, and then I'm going to end and invite discussion. A few years ago, once upon a time, I was a college kid. And I didn't know what Krishna consciousness, Bhagavad Gita, I was a college kid in ignorance of who I really am and, those kinds of things. And without the detail, I'll make a very sweet story short and sweet. One devotee whose initiated name is Burijan. I didn't know him as Burijan at the time. I didn't know he was initiated. I didn't know anything. But we were having lunch together in the student union. And just before I got up to leave, he gave me a Back to Godhead magazine. And I, because it was from him, he's, friend. That was it. He was just a friend, a nice person. So I had this Back to Godhead magazine, and I was carrying it around. And somebody saw me carrying it around, with along my stack of books and stuff. And they saw the magazine. They said, "Oh no, you're not into that, are you?" And I said, "What do you mean? What's that? That I shouldn't want to be into?" He said, well, you don't want to be into that. That was his answer. So I was curious, what's he talking about? So I read the magazine. And the feature article of the magazine was written by Bhaktisiddhanta. It was a reprint in a, mimeographed, a very old style way of reproducing images and text and stapled together. That was it. So I read the magazine. I read the article. The title of the article, I had to look it up in the dictionary. The title, I had to look it up in the dictionary. The Bhagavad is ontology and morphology. Okay, get a dictionary out and look up what the title means. And then 3 hours later, I finished, underlining things and putting things in the margin and looking things up in dictionaries because his language is really high. And at the conclusion of that 3 hours, 3 things. I didn't notice the time had passed. I had to I was shocked at how much. 3 hours reading one article. Second, when I finished, I could honestly say I don't understand what I just read because it's another sphere. And the third and most important is I felt I was taken to a place that I had never been to before just by contact with his writing, which I didn't understand. So it wasn't an intellectual experience. It was a spiritual experience. That much I understood. He had given me a spiritual experience just by reading that article. Taking it seriously, trying to understand it, but I didn't understand it at the time. But there's a spiritual reality that a spiritual personality can, because of their spiritual charge, they can transmit or transfer some of that spiritual charge to others. And that's how the bhakti process works. So let's see how many are able to make it. Whatever part of your New Year's Eve and the next day, New Year's Day, you can make it. Please come, participate, and see what you experience. And at least a little closer to transcendence. And there's subjective, there's symptoms of what that means. But that's another discussion. Let's see if I said it would end, and I should end. Let's see if there's some discussion. Any topics, comments, or questions? You have a question. Okay, go right ahead.
So enthusiasm means is it Guru Shastra reference? You say enthusiasm is intelligence in Krishna consciousness. Does it mean Guru Shastra reference?
If you can't understand what he's saying, I'll translate it. During this past July 4th weekend here in Naperville, we had a little seminar on Japa retreat, but we called it Festival of the Holy Name and included kirtan, etc. The featured topic was this verse from Upadesh Amrita, Utsahan Nishchayad Dhairyat. There's 3 more, Tat Tat Karma Vipartana, etc. But we just focused on those first 3. Enthusiasm, patience, firm conviction or confidence or determination. So he's referring to a definition that's found in that text. What does enthusiasm mean? And I'll say it twice. Enthusiasm means endeavor with intelligence in Krishna consciousness is enthusiasm. One more time. Endeavor with intelligence in Krishna consciousness. That's enthusiasm. That's a definition. given in Upadeshamrita, or Nectar of Devotion. It's a nice definition. It's very simple, and it's true. So now I'm not, because the articulation of your question wasn't clear. Could you just touch the main point that you'd like to ask from this question?
Does it mean following Guru Sadhu Shastra?
Well, that's, it includes, but it's not what it means. Intelligence in Krishna consciousness and endeavor in that way. So intelligence guides. Intelligence is if things are in proper order, they're not always in proper order. Intelligence is superior to the mind. So the intelligence gives direction to the mind when things are in proper order. And then the mind gives direction to the senses when things are in proper order. Commonly it's reverse. And then the senses are superior to dull matter. There's a verse in Bhagavad Gita. Indriyani pranya hur, etc. It's a verse in Bhagavad Gita. So the question is, does that mean following Guru Sadhu Shastra? The phrase, for those of you that are a little newer, those are 3 standards by which one should conduct one's life. Top, Shastra, scripture. And then how do we understand scripture? Its meaning and the example of what it looks like. Guru and Sadhu. They exemplify, they represent, they speak, and they live Shastra. They're parambulatory Shastras. If that's a true Guru and a true Sadhu, that's what they do, who they are. So Guru Sadhu Shastra, that's like the Supreme Court. And final, that's it, Supreme Court. So scripture, that's the authority that we have regard for, and we can decide and understand things through that authority. So his question specifically is, does that endeavor with intelligence in Krishna consciousness mean follow Guru Sadhu Shastra? That's another way of saying the same thing. But, break it apart, and it's intelligence gives direction to the mind when it's in proper order, etc. Yes. It's a tricky microphone. You got to have a teenager. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for the session on holy name being non-different than Krishna. And in explaining that, you gave the analogy of deity worship, how Krishna is subtle, yet he accepts the offerings of the devotees through the deity.
So keep it simple. What's your question?
My question is, the concept that holy name has a form and is non-different than...
The holy name is form.
Yes, holy name is form.
Yeah.
And is non-different from Krishna is a very
profound
and difficult concept.
Yeah, we're not going to get our mind around that one. It won't be understood through the mind. Sorry.
So the question is, when we are chanting, how do we implement this, or how do we bring this into a chant?
1, 2, 3. Just start with 1. The ear, here, and then it becomes possible. This is a Bhaktisiddhanta teaching. You've heard it before. The ear conquers the mind. The mind is this binary processor. Computers are replicating what the mind does. It's a 1 or 0, and then you mix it up together and you get a computer. That's the mind. And it's neither a 1 nor a 0. That which is transcendental is cannot get entrance through the mind. So then one has to go beyond the mind, beyond the material mind. And then that means here, the method, that's your question, It's the ear, the spiritual ear, not this flashy thing on the side of the head. But then what does that mean? So that's a whole discussion. We had a whole class on it. You're probably referring to that class that I gave. And you're asking me to summarize it right now and with people that don't know that reference. It's a principle. Hear with a spiritual ear, in one sense, means with undivided attention, as opposed to how we normally hear. Attention that's splayed out. Distracted attention. This and that and the other thing and the other thing, and the mind is all over the place. No, that mind is not all over the place. But and it becomes focused by that method, by the ear, by spiritual sound entering the spiritual ear, and then something happens. It's like electricity. We don't see electrons flying around, but there's electricity is a phenomena. We know when it's on and when it's off. So we know when hearing is on. And when hearing is on, the spiritual hearing is on, the mind is conquered. That's a nice experience. It's not the mind shuts off, but it becomes subordinate to spiritual sound, which is not different than Krishna, becomes subordinate to Krishna through sound, through proper hearing of sound. So that's the how-to. In the back, very enthusiastic fellow. Wave your arm again. He's going to bring the microphone. My dear friend, you get the last question, so I hope it's a good one.
Pranam Maharajji. My question was, it was mentioned by chanting the holy name, one attains perfection.
Well, one may, the door is open.
Okay, so my question was, what is perfection meaning over here, and why is that important? Because sometimes we spend our lives being mediocre. So why is perfection important in?
Why is perfection important?
And what is meant by perfection? Yes.
Okay, take that microphone from him. What's meant by a clear sky? The sky where there's no clouds. And perfection is consciousness that's unobstructed. Because the living entity by nature, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam, the living entity is conscious, and then consciousness of the original supreme consciousness, that's perfection. Like the sky that has no clouds, it's clear sky. Consciousness is not obstructed by stuff. Absorption in the temporary, affinity for the temporary. And the affinity for the temporary is provided to those who want it. I want to enjoy. And then, well, sure, what way would you like to enjoy? I want to enjoy that stuff. So then here's an opportunity for you to go in the playground like a kid in the sandbox and go playing with stuff. But then perfection is the affinity for such distractions is gone. It's a clear sky where consciousness and the supreme object of consciousness there's variegatedness in that realm, form, qualities, pastimes, but there's nothing material. There's nothing distracting or contaminating or polluting or I'm at the center, my enjoyment is at the center. That's gone. That's perfection. You're smiling. Okay. Let's end. Should we make someone's going to make some concluding announcement or something like that, probably. There she is.
Hare Krishna. Just wanted to take a moment to reflect. Some of you who are here today, you were not part of the programs that we had during this weekend. And but you are our Sunday feast audience. And you come to this beautiful temple and you appreciate being in the presence of Sri Sri Radha Shyamasundar Srila Prabhupada. So I just thought I will share a little from my heart that His Holiness Romapada Swami Maharaj, who is a senior disciple of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, has given like over 50 plus years of his life, starting from very young age, serving Srila Prabhupada and this institution. And Maharaj has given a considerable part of that 50 years time here in ISKCON, here in Naperville and surrounding areas, sharing and teaching the glories of the holy name, teachings of Srila Prabhupada. So, along with Maharaj, a large number of young devotees like him also dedicated their lives for glorifying the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. All their life they have been doing that. And so, other than just the classes that we have heard, some of you have not heard, but no matter what it is, we have to be eternally grateful to His Holiness Romapada Swami Maharaj and His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. So please give a big appreciation. Thank you. We are all deeply indebted to Maharaj for coming here repeatedly and giving us your wonderful association. And if it is not for that, none of us would be here at all. I'll make this quick announcement for Sunday Feast. There are two families who are sponsoring. Mayank Malik Prabhu sponsoring for Shilpi's birthday. Is he here? Mayank? Not really. Okay. Lakshmi Purvaja seeking Krishna's blessings and expressing gratitude for finishing her master's program. Thank you so very, very much, Lakshmi, for sponsoring and distributing Krishna Prasadam. As always, we glorify Krishna by chanting his holy names, and we pray to Krishna to bless these families to make steady progress in your spiritual life. Please chant after me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. One more quick thing is that ISKCON will be completing its 60th year since Srila Prabhupada registered this entity. 60th year is in 2026. And that's a huge celebration for us, you know. So the center of all that is His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. If Srila Prabhupada did not come here, he did not give us his books translated into English, none of us would not have even known what it is, about what spiritual practice is even. We have no way of knowing. So this 60 years of ISKCON, it's very, very important and very significant for all of us. And we will have many programs here in this temple, and we invite all of you to come and participate in that. And in the spirit of that, going on, starting from this Sunday, let us just loudly glorify Srila Prabhupada. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you. You need anything? Yeah.
Yeah, Mataji will reply. So, Hare Krishna, everyone. A couple of quick things. So, first of all, we really want to recognize some of the people who are here today. Ajit Gandhi Prabhu, Dr. Viswanath Agarwal ji and Agadi uncle. So they all are here, and so please give a big hand to all of them. They are really, really big supporter to our temple. Our Dr. Ghanshyam ji is there, so thank you. So with all of you, what we have today, and we are working on phase 3. So 2026 is extremely important, where we didn't, today I heard that it's 60th years of ISKCON. So what a wonderful day to start phase 3 on the 60th year. So we are looking to start phase 3. So almost 364 a day if I stand, I ask for something, right? But today I am not asking, today I'm here to give you something. So on January 1st, you have seen these flyers. So on these flyers, what we do, as Maharaj said, that we chant the holy name. But this day, on January 1st, we are not chanting for the self. We chant it for the community and for everyone. So our goal is we want to chant 8 million holy names. And this is for everyone in the community who somehow don't get to come here. So this is our service to them. So please come, please chant as much as possible. Please bring as many as people. And even though you can chant from your home, still get it counted. So we need that 8 million count. Otherwise the people struggle. So with your help, we can make that number on January 1st. And also I forgot, I see Khanna families are there. So thank you for everything all of you do. So thank you Rajesh Khanna, Asa Khanna ji. And thank you all of you. You all done amazing job, and with all of your support, we are starting phase 3. Plan is almost ready. It's just we're waiting for winter to over, and we'll see next phase getting started. So with that, thank you so much. Please take the blessings and then go for prasadam. Oh, and by the way, ISKCON calendars are there. 2026 calendars are there. Oh, this is the calendar? No. It's on the book table. So please don't miss out. Please collect the calendars. It's a small donation. You can give and collect it. Thank you so much. We'll see you again on December 31st and January 1st. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, 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 Krishna hai. Okay.